Steve Kerr said that if he was in charge of U.S. youth basketball, he would make it mandatory for all kids to play soccer growing up because he has seen the improvements it can make to court vision and footwork. I agree because I experienced this myself.
Stay tuned to learn how you can improve your skills at basketball using exercises that are practical and unique, inspired by my experience as a former high-level soccer player. Or simply follow my progress as I go on this basketball journey. Welcome to my channel and the first video in this series. For some context, I have played soccer my whole life, including in college. It wasn't until after I finished my bachelor's degree that I started to really get into the sport of basketball. I was inspired at the time by Luka Doncic, who played for my hometown Dallas Mavericks. Don't ask me how that's going now. My love for the Mavericks has faded, but my interest in the game of basketball has only grown. So, I started to go to the park every once in a while to shoot some hoops, play one-on-one with my brother, but nothing really too serious. It wasn't until 6 months ago that I began to play pickup, and it's during this time that I realized that not only do soccer and basketball have a lot in common, my soccer background was seemingly helping me at the game of basketball. Things like ball handling, court vision, and on-ball defense were all seemingly coming natural to me, despite not having any formal practice since way back in elementary school. So I was curious and began to do some research, and that's where I found the quote from Steve Kerr, and more evidence. Players like Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Hakeem, and Kobe Bryant all have gone on record crediting their youth soccer experience to their development at basketball. Furthermore, when I look at the modern NBA, I see players like Siakam, Embiid, and Giannis, all who had a first passion for soccer, and still do. Lastly, let's talk about Luka Doncic and Jokic. Both also have a passion for soccer, but even more than that, they sometimes look to me that they're playing soccer out there, specifically the number 10 role, which was my position.
Which leads me to the biggest reason why I believe that my soccer background is helping me with basketball. It is because of the position that I played and how I trained for it. I played as the attacking midfielder in soccer, which is very similar to the point guard in basketball, and I trained using exercises and philosophies that are not widely taught. Therefore, part of the inspiration for this series is that I think you can improve at basketball by using exercises and philosophies that are inspired by the very ones I used to become a high-level soccer player. My other motivation for this series is for fun, to document my progress at the game of basketball using those soccer-inspired exercises, as well as more traditional things, like shooting, which does not directly translate from soccer. So, I hope that my journey can be insightful and entertaining. Without further ado, let's get started with my first week of practice. The first exercise is to dribble with my head up to improve at ball handling and court vision. Try to develop a feel and instinct for where the ball is so that you can dribble with your head up as much as possible. Take a look again. Not only is my head up, it is also looking around. This is a big takeaway from my soccer training. Vision requires seeing the game with your eyes. Of course, you will make mistakes. However, instead of looking down to get control back, work on being able to keep your head up while you regain control, like I do here. Zooming in, you can see how I make the correction and regain control by using the fingertips on both of my hands. I'm using my feel and instinct about where the ball is to regain control, all without looking down at the ball. Zooming out, you can see how my head is up, and I even take a look to my right. This is how you develop court vision. Now at full speed, it barely looks like a mistake. Take it slowly at first so that you can get the fundamentals down, but as you get better, you can begin to speed things up and make it more complicated, with more challenging dribbles and moving your head left, right, and backwards. Eventually, you want to get good enough so that you can practice this like it's in a game situation, which is a preview for the next exercise. Here, I'm dribbling at the top of the key with my head up, scanning the court left and right before deciding to make my move and scoring the bucket. In this next exercise, I want you to play against an imaginary defender. Visualize how they would react to your moves and even the physicality that you may encounter. To develop this vivid imagination, you will need to watch film and experience different scenarios in the game first. Eventually, you want to not only recreate situations that you have seen or experienced, but also create entirely new ones, and then add on more complex situations with multiple defenders and even your teammates. I think solo training using your imagination is critical to taking your game to a whole new level. Put some obstacles on the court, like this tripod, or some shoes, or cones. Play every bounce of the ball like it's a real game. Imagine scenarios like here. I pretended like the ball was going out of bounds and I saved it before I beat the defender, tripod, and make the bucket. Toss the ball and pretend like you're catching it off of a pass, and then make your dribble from there. Work on catching the ball in various different situations all over the court. I think this exercise is so important, and I had never heard anyone talk about it. Until recently, Kyrie Irving said that he practices with unreal imagination and creativity, which leads me to the next exercise. Be creative and don't be afraid of doing something crazy while you are solo training. Don't make this your only exercise, but throw it in there every once in a while. Luka Doncic can pull out magic tricks in the game because I guarantee he does even crazier stuff in practice. Creativity will also lead you to finding new moves, like this one. Sometimes they will go into the trash can, but other times they can become effective tools in your arsenal. I am tweaking this one as I imagine how the defender would react and try to build enough confidence to eventually try it out in a game. If it works, I will post a video on it. The last thing that I practiced in this first week was some post moves, which are something that I want to add to my game. I don't have any exercises to show for it just yet though. I first need to study some film to get an idea of how to go about it. I plan on getting inspiration from some of my favorite players like Dirk Nowitzki, Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, and Kyrie Irving. Well, that's all for week 1. Stay tuned for the next video, which will feature a 2-on-2 pickup game.